does this, so at the moment, I know we're having kind of a national debate about whether we should be renationalising certain things, because we feel it's gone far too far the other way. And obviously, this is an example of when it could go wrong, where everything is nationalised. Were there like problems with cronyism, things like that, or is it just that it kind of made the economy sluggish? And in your opinion, is the negative here that there was too much nationalisation, or is it just that nationalisation was done poorly and that led to a lack of growth?
I think it may have been done poorly, or at least wasn't flexible enough to deal with the demands of the short-term economic demands of the situation. If that makes if that's clear enough, it's not the fact that nationalisation is inherently bad. In fact, personally, I think it's very good in some industries that are required. I'd like my I'd like water or something like the basics, some of that stuff. The National Health Service, for example, that's something I think that it's very important that the government controls to make sure that standards are high. But at the same time, I recognise that because healthcare is the most important concern of the NHS, it's not always profitable to keep everybody healthy. But I don't care about that. I would rather that people stay healthy than the NHS be a business that produces a profit at the end of the day. But you kind of need, if everything is nationalised, then you run the risk of there not being enough taxes generated from things that aren't nationalised to fund those nationalised industries, and that was what was happening. That's what was happening here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that maybe there's a priority to what things should be nationalised. I mean, I agree with you that the NHS is a good thing, and I like the idea that healthcare is nationalised, and I think we have examples elsewhere in the world, especially without not wanting to pick too much on the US. I know that I can't be exactly sure what the multiplication is, but I know that per head it costs them more for their healthcare than it does over here, because with like a centralised system, you have that extra buying power, and also, you know, there are things you can do when you're not running it for profit, as you say. But yeah, maybe not everything should be nationalised. I don't know as if everything should be, but I feel like healthcare, education, probably most people would agree should be. And I think there was recently some stats on that. It was something like 90% for healthcare still, and I think even education might even been even higher, 95%, something like that. And then you have, yeah, I don't know. I think most people at the moment feel like the trains should be, because we've had some awful problems with the trains recently. But I don't know how much of that is just it is bad right now, or if people are starting to see, because we've just had to renationalise one railway, maybe people are realising that in certain situations it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that might be a situation where people think that the free market isn't working, or the idea behind the free market or the ideals is that if you have very high demand for something like the train service, then prices should go down because you've got more. You should have lots of competition between lots of independent people who are all fighting for your money. So as a result, they'll try and bring the prices down, and that's better for the consumer. What's happened with the railways over recent years is people have seen prices go up and up despite the demand being higher and higher each year, and that doesn't seem to tally with how free market economics should work. So in that case, I think people are saying that, well, why don't we nationalize this industry and keep a lid on these prices? It would work better for the consumer if that happened rather than the current situation that we've got. It certainly isn't working.